This season of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by BEI Real Estate. For over 65 years, BEI has been part of this community, helping local businesses find their place to thrive. They understand what makes Batavia special, offer flexible solutions, and actively give back. Visit their website, beicre.com, and find out how BEI can help you reach your real estate goals. Or call them directly at 630-879-3680. This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Bulldog Plumbing Incorporated. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website in the show notes or give them a call at 630-313-9109. Hey everybody, you're listening to Area Code Batavia, a podcast about what it means to belong in Batavia, Illinois. I'm Richard Clark. At the beginning of every episode, we offer a quick list of local businesses that make Area Code Batavia possible. But these businesses are more than just sponsors. They're invested in our community and they share a vision for a vibrant, connected Batavia. So when you're looking for a specific service or product, you know you're choosing one that's trustworthy and engaged in the community. So when you get a chance, thank these businesses: BEI Real Estate, Bulldog Plumbing, Plimsoll, Dragonfly Senior Navigation Services, 212 Degrees Construction Group, and Tyler Nelson Country Financial. You can find out more about these businesses in the show notes. And if you use one of these businesses, let them know you heard about them from us. It's been a pretty unique month for Area Code Batavia. This month I tried something a little different. We don't normally do topical episodes like we have this month. Typically, I interview one or two people on their terms about what it means to belong in Batavia. But for the last episode and for this one, I wanted to drill down into what role flags served in the town, specifically focusing on the Flag Day Monument, the Batavia Community flag, and the Unity Pride flag. I wanted to hear from a range of perspectives on what these particular flags mean to them. The flags we're talking about in today's episode are relatively new to Batavia, and I thought it would be worth exploring them both as unique examples of how Batavia treats flags as invitations to belong. So for this episode, I spoke to flag expert or vexillologist Marty Callahan, who's the chair of the Flag Design Contest Committee. I also spoke to Rachel Agro, a high school student who helped design the flag, and Kathleen Tieriton, Rachel's graphic design teacher who helped educate students and others in the community about how they can help bring a Batavia community flag to life. Then I talked some more to Kathleen about the Unity Pride flag, which has been on display at City Hall for the month of June for the last several years. As the sponsor of the Batavia High School Pride Alliance, she had an intimate understanding of what the flag meant to the students it represents. Finally, I spoke to one of the council members who was instrumental in that flag's presence downtown, Dan Chanzit, about his experience as a queer person in local politics and about what the flag means to him. I went into these conversations with a posture of curiosity. I think sometimes we don't immediately resonate with the life experiences of other people or the flags that represent them, but I hope you'll be open to that here or even seek it out. After all, the people on this episode are our neighbors. All right, thanks for hanging with me. Here's our conversation with four of your neighbors: Marty, Rachel, Kathleen, and Dan. Let's talk about the Batavia flag.
Okay.
Why is it important for a town like Batavia to have a flag?
So it's important to not only have a flag, it's important to have a good flag. You can look at all of the flags that municipalities have.
Yeah.
Most of them are called bed sheets, seals on a bed sheet. Uh-huh. And that's what some of the things that we kind of talk about in the vexillological world.
Yeah. You guys are flag snobs over there.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to convey something, it should be There are 5 design elements that Ted Kay, he's one of the head guys for the North American Vexillological Association, or NAVA for short. He put out a pamphlet years ago about what a flag should have on it. Mm-hmm. And you should just look at a flag and know where that is, because the elements of it should tell you where you are. Yeah. If you've got the name of your community or state on the flag to tell you what it is, you have failed in flag design. Yeah. No, you failed.
Yeah, okay.
That's bad design.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really enjoyed with learning about the flags and why you do them in local communities are, and we specifically here, we called it a community flag. Mm-hmm. It's not an official city-adopted flag, although the city could. We felt that it was important that it come from the community.
Okay.
Because one of the things that resonated when I first joined was those seals that you see, those are the official emblems of a city.
Which seals? What are you talking about?
A city seal, like on the letterhead.
I see. Yes.
The seals of a city. Those are considered the government. Those are what you think of as the government.
Right.
Flags belong to the people.
The community.
Yes.
You talked about this a little bit, but why make the process of coming up with a flag a contest? Why choose that process?
So there are so many, just like with anything, there are so many different ways that you can create a flag. Mm-hmm. You can hire a design agency to come and make one.
Yeah, and that would have been the way that I expected we would make a flag. Mm-hmm. So why didn't we do that?
Because we didn't feel that we didn't want somebody coming in and saying this is what you are. We want it to be coming from the community. We felt was the best way to do it.
And how did you expect that to go, and how did that go?
It went so much better than I even thought it was going to be.
Okay, yeah.
Because of the fact, for the number of submissions that we had. Yeah. And we laid out, these are the good design elements of a flag. We gave people classes on how to design a flag.
Okay.
We didn't want anybody to be hindered on, like, I don't think I can draw a flag, and just come with a sketch. And we had people on our committee that were either marketing, people in the marketing field.
Yeah.
We had Kathleen Terryton, who's the art teacher at the high school, who's phenomenal. We had the mayor, we had other community members. So all of that was just people that are connected, and you kind of know what the community is. And it goes back to how Batavia has this feel.
Yeah.
You've just got to be able to tell people an idea, and if they instinctively get it, that's going to be something that's going to succeed. When you have that buy-in of everybody, and everybody's not trying to have too many cooks in the kitchen, then you have a idea that everybody rallies behind and they get behind. And when you have that, it not only makes the process easier, it has everybody going, oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And with that, we had over 100 submissions. Mm-hmm. The best part that I loved, and a lot of it had to do with making sure that we involved the students at the high school and everything, was to make sure that we were future looking, that we're not trying to make a flag talking about Batavia's past, because that's gone. And we don't want it about our present, because that can change. Mm-hmm. You should always be doing something that is forward looking, so that other generations will appreciate that you thought of them before they even got here.
Okay, so I'll ask this then. Why windmills if it's not about the past?
Flags are meant to have some conveyance of where you are, recognizing your history, so it's a part of it.
Yeah.
You can't completely throw it away, because you'll have people that, when we were doing this, 50% of the people didn't want any windmill on there. 50% of the people want the windmill on there.
That 50%.
It was kind of like that. It was, yes,
so
because it's so ingrained.
Yeah.
But when you read the artist statement of the way the winning one was chosen, it looks more like a sun, and it looks more like a setting sun to people that were looking at it, when in the way that our topography is in Batavia, you have the hill on the one side, down through the valley, and we get great sunrises for the people on the east and great sunsets for the people on the west.
Yeah.
And you have the river in the middle. So that, as a representation of the sun, you can still have people that are happy that the windmill is there, but then you have other people that can put what they think into it and say, it looks like a sun to me. And those are what I get out of it.
This is
not
not
what they say.
at all the same in terms of undertaking, but when we were working on cover art for our podcast, I was like, I guess we're going to put a windmill on there. It's the most recognizable thing about Batavia. But I also think, you know, to your point, it is less about the windmill and more about, like, it does look, I mean, in the flag, it looks like a setting sun. Does it on my cover art?
Right.
When I think of the windmill these days, I think of energy.
Right.
And that is the thing, like, comes up in the podcast, comes up in conversations with people. It's really about getting things done. This flag monument, a great example. This is something that could have been an idea that never goes anywhere. Probably would have been in a lot of towns. But, like, in Batavia, it happens, you know? And like, I like that idea that, like, windmills are about, they're representative of something deeper. These are things that have meaning outside of what they are. They work well as metaphors, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And all of what you've been doing is continually talking about the nuances about what you get out of it.
Yes.
Somebody else is going to get something else out of it, and they're going to see it a different way.
Yeah.
And so it all ties to everything that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's the same concepts are still there. You want familiarity because you don't want to throw all of it out because you're going to alienate people that want some sort of tradition.
Yes.
But you can do it in a way that is respectful of the tradition and other people's views of that, but do it in a different way so that it's your spin and take on it.
Yeah.
And I think if we have more of that, then it goes back to the communication piece. I don't mind that you have a windmill on the flag.
Yeah.
I see it as a sun. We can see things differently.
Yeah.
But that's what I take about it. And that's why it is what I think it is, but it is what you think it is.
Okay.
And you can respect it.
So if everyone's seeing the flag differently, it must have been hard to settle on a design. If everyone's seeing things differently, if everyone's reading different things into the different designs, it must have been a moment where it was like, whoa, this is difficult actually selecting. You had like 10 finalists, right?
We had 10 finalists, and then when it came down to the final 3, it was good. But it really wasn't. There was like one person that liked the third one, 2 people that liked the second. Everybody else gravitated towards the winning one.
Interesting, yeah.
And there was no jockeying for your positions.
Yeah.
You went around, and we put all the flags, and you just went and put what ones you were given. I think it was 20 stickers. You put the 20 stickers on what you wanted.
Did you have some angst around like what you liked the most though, personally? No.
I was more vested in what we came together because it is not my flag we're designing.
Yeah.
It is our community flag that we're designing.
Yeah.
So you step out of the role of you and what you want to kind of have people that you're standing in for people.
Yeah.
It's also like when you're an elected official. There's your views, and you can be right as rain all day long.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is representing the voices, then it doesn't really mean anything.
Right. What has been the impact of the Batavia flag?
I would like to see it around more. I do see it a lot.
Yeah.
But I would like to see more people buy it, fly it. It's one of those things you just got to break through the chatter, and because some people don't know about it. People do know about it, but I see on my way here, I'm not kidding, somebody had it on their 4Runner is one of the stickers on the back of their car.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Several of my neighbors have them. I have both of them. I have the garden flag and the regular flag.
Okay.
I think it's just a great design. You look at it and you're like, oh, I like that. It's got, all the other hallmarks, the kind of happy primary colors, the way that it's laid out. There was an app where it lets you put the design on a flagpole and you could control the wind. So you could see what it was like with no wind, and you could see what it was like flying full mast.
That's cool.
That goes to a couple of the ones that people really liked when we did it on the app. They look great while they're flying, but when it was hanging, it was all white. Because the other parts of the image were all hidden. So it just looked like a white piece of cloth. So that went into, how is this actually going to look?
Right.
Instead of just, I love that flag. And it's like, well, what's it going to look when it's not?
It is interesting, the idea of prioritizing flags. Some of it comes down to what are we about fundamentally? And it's just an interesting question.
You've got schools, you've got elementary, you've got high school, you could fly your Batavia flag,
The bulldog
flag, because some people, that we also made sure that our flag didn't. We had a lot of people that said, no, it should have the bulldog on it instead of the windmill. And others are like, well, that's the school. That's not the community. So, but people felt very passionately about that too. So there's why so many flags? Because they're fun. Flags are fun.
Sure. Yeah.
And they're just an easy way to say, this is who I stand for. And you're kind of willing to do that better than having to stand out, I love the Bears at every car going by. Everybody knows you like the Bears.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cool.
And if you've got a Green Bay flag, you know whose house to hang.
Yes. Right. Exactly.
My name is Rachel Agro, and I designed the Batavia Community flag.
So we're sitting in the Peg Bond Center, and from where we're sitting, we can see the Batavia flag. Can you just describe what we're looking at and what it means to you?
While I was designing the flag, I was trying to take into account what was really important to me and what I admire about Batavia and the symbols that stand out to me. So my family is originally from Michigan.
Okay.
And something my parents always talk about is they didn't really get to see a lot of sunsets and sunrises in the woods and stuff. But here, that's something we really get to experience over like the prairie and everything that a lot of other areas don't quite get to see.
Right.
So I wanted to factor that into my design. And then just growing up around here, the windmill has always been like a very important symbol. And it really sums up our community. So I wanted to incorporate that as well. So I tried to work in like our natural setting, the Fox River, the flat like prairie land where we can see sunsets and sunrises, while also having that like community symbol of the windmill.
Awesome. So you said your family moved here from Michigan. How long ago was that?
Well, I was born here.
You were born here? Okay.
My mom grew up in Michigan.
So you've been here your whole life. Do you have a sense of what Batavia is in comparison to other towns?
I think so. I think it's a very like close, interwoven town. Especially like going to the high school. I feel like we have a very good community and a lot of engagement from the community and a lot of great people that I've met, and I really enjoy living here.
Why focus so much on the landscape and sort of the physical properties of Batavia?
For me, I think Batavia is a very pretty city to live in. I have a deep appreciation for the river and all our natural parks that we have set aside for people to enjoy.
So you go to high school. You are a teenager.
Yep.
How old are you now?
I'm 17.
17. All right. You weren't 17 when the flag was made.
No,
you were
I was
a sophomore.
16.
You were 16. Do you feel like people your age are as invested in the community as like adults might be?
I think so. I feel like a lot of like the stuff I do to engage with the community is often centered around things that our high school puts on, or like my classmates set up, and that really helps build my appreciation for the town.
What is the thing that the flag represents that means the most to you?
To me, it's how united we are as a community. The main idea behind the flag when they asked us to design concepts for it was a way to bring the town together and unite people, give them something to stand behind and have a commonality. So that's what I was trying to do with the colors and like the symbol of the windmill.
What is it about the colors that does that?
I feel like naturally, like red and yellow are very associated with Batavia, being that those are our school's colors. And then the blue is just meant to represent the river.
The river, right. What inspired you to take part in the contest to design the flag?
It actually was an assignment for school.
Okay.
My art teacher, Miss Terry Tyne, put it on for our graphics class, and she gave us all the opportunity to design our own flag for the contest. She had this video that taught us all the vexillology standards that are
interesting,
that go into making a proper flag.
Yeah.
And we applied those to our own designs and submitted them.
What was the hardest thing about creating it?
Probably just concept design. I did a lot of sketching. I went through a lot of different ideas and just settling on one design that I thought looked good.
What were some of those ideas that didn't make the cut?
There were a lot of, they all pretty much had windmills.
You started with, so that's interesting to me. The windmill was the one sort of non-negotiable or obvious thing to you that needed to be on the flag. Mm-hmm. In your mind, was it just a straightforward, windmills are everywhere, everybody talks about windmills, so we got to do it, or did it represent something bigger to you?
Windmills have just always been something that I feel has just been around Batavia. You see them everywhere. They're a symbol everyone associates with Batavia.
Yeah.
In elementary school even, we had a whole unit about windmills.
Oh,
windmills have just always been around.
Yeah. So how do you feel about windmills then? Are you tired of them?
No, not. Just used to them.
Yeah.
They're everywhere at this point.
Yeah.
So.
How does it feel to you when you're driving or walking around town or whatever, and you're seeing the flag in various places, especially here at City Hall and other places?
It was a little weird at first. I think I've gotten used to it. I see them as bumper stickers and stuff.
Yeah,
and that they stand out. I don't know.
Right.
I see them there's
You're
the flag I made.
there it is.
But my friends like to point it out and stuff as they see it. But I think I've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
Now.
What's weird about it?
I don't know. Just the amount of them that I didn't quite expect that to see them quite all over the place.
So it's a good weird?
Yeah, it's a good weird.
Okay, cool.
It's exciting.
So my name is Kathleen Thierry Tunn. I teach graphics at Batavia High School, and I was reached out to come be a part of the Community Flag Project Committee, and I was excited to participate to see how we can connect the project throughout the community and not just professionals or not just residents, but including students and kind of thinking with that perspective.
Yeah. What excited you about the project that made you want to?
Well, I love design. I come from an art education background, and I kind of transitioned over the years into more and more design and computer and digital art and that kind of stuff for a lot of reasons. Where I really kind of started to fall in love with design is that it's really art in the hands of the community, or it's in the hands of people. It's the art for the people. And so I've always kind of connected with that without even realizing it. And then as I became more and more involved in teaching that side of the arts as a high school teacher, then I really kind of went down that path with it.
Yeah.
And so
you teach what at high school?
So I teach, I'm the lead teacher of the graphic communications program at Batavia High School. And I just finished my maybe 8th year at the high school. And then I was teaching in Chicago before that.
What was the reception like when you introduced the concept to your students?
What I've found and this is again why I get excited about these kind of projects is that I love when it's got an authentic audience. And so kids are just designing something that is for me for a grade. They're designing something that people might really see. Yep. And so that's why I love to bring those experiences in. And I have so many partnerships in the community for students to get a chance to do that. And so I think there's always another level of, oh, wait, this is real. We're doing this for real.
Right.
And, sometimes it doesn't really make a difference in motivation, but other times I think it really does. I think one maybe aspect of it that helped kids see it is because we've done other things that end up in the community. Our partnerships with Main Street, for many years we were working on the banner program. So a lot of the banners that people would see around town, they knew that was our students that were making that. And so there was that aspect of it, but I think even when we're working on something, until you see it out there or you see other people looking at it, and,
So we're able to see the flag. Now, it's not exactly stretched out.
Right. The wind's not blowing perfect for it yet.
But can you sort of describe that flag and what it means to you?
It's hard for me to not see it as my student's work. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me. I'm pretty biased when I look at it. But I think that like Batavia, it's interesting because working on different projects for the few years, for the years I've lived here now and worked here, everyone goes to the windmill, and it's sometimes I think people get like, they're like, oh, the windmill, right?
right.
Another windmill.
Yeah.
But first of all, beyond just the history, like there's the history, of the windmills in town and stuff, but like they look really cool. Like they're a really cool graphic like element. And so I love how she took it and made it that like the sun kind of coming over it and and having that river. And to me, I mean, I came here from the city. I had family that lived here, that had moved here. And so it was on my radar. The job, opened up and I came here and brought my family here. And I always wanted to live in a town with a river. Like there's something just about river towns that I think are so beautiful. So I love that I love the way she represented the river and it had this really beautiful graphic quality to it. There's a lot of simplicity to it, but it's just really stunning.
The windmill thing is interesting because basically what you said was, I know everyone's tired of it. History's fine and all, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
So is that all it takes for it to be on the flag? You know what I mean? You're like, well, it's a cool asset. We'll use it.
If we didn't have the history, then no, like it wouldn't make sense.
It makes the history a little bit more palatable as being something to work it in.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes I've been on in groups and they're like, can we just not have another windmill on it? Or like at the high school we joke, we're like, can we do something without the bulldog on it? Like you get kind of tired of it when you're working with it all the time. You're like, what else can we use? Like, can we just use the bee, do something different? But I mean, it is really cool and they're just beautiful objects, and I think they're such an iconic part of town. And I think that like there's no shame in us loving the windmill. Like it's cool. So I think she did a really cool balancing act between the kind of the literal and symbolic, and that energy and the connection to the sun. I think, I saw a few designs that did that, where they kind of connected the idea of energy and the sun and those symbols. But I think hers just turned out really cool. But it was hard. I did not want to vote.
Right.
I was like, can I abstain?
I think that's smart.
It was hard.
Did you abstain?
No, I had to vote, and it was not easy.
They made you choose.
And then I was like choosing between students. I had like quite a few students that made it to the final top 10. Yeah. I think I had 3 in the final top 10, and I was just like, oh, this is so hard.
Was it secret ballot? You going to curtain?
I think we were kind of like folding pieces of paper, and then it became a discussion.
Got it.
I'm never someone that's easy to, like, don't ever put me on a judging committee. That's not my specialty.
Because you can't decide.
No.
Yeah, you're like, they're all good.
They are. Yeah. It's like I'm like, I love them all.
Yes. What was the hardest thing about this process? Maybe that was it.
That was probably one of the hardest. But as far as I think you want to make sure you're hearing a lot of voices when you do something like that, and having it open to the community and trying to figure out the best ways to connect, and so I was really working with thinking about the youth and thinking about talking to people about design.
Yeah.
And so we did some sessions at the library. We had classes for adults, and then we had classes for youth. And it was really cool because I don't get to work with adults very often. And we had, all different kinds of 18 through 90 probably that were part of the class, like the workshop and stuff. And so it was cool to get to talk to all different kinds of people about how you symbolically represent a community.
That has to be the hardest thing about it, because in the last episode of this podcast, we talked about flags as symbols of belonging, invitations to belong, right? And there's a lot at stake with making a flag like that, because it can't alienate anyone, that's for sure. You start there, and then it also has to make people go, yes, that's my town. But it has to make everyone say that. So how do you, in your mind, what's the way, as an art teacher, as a graphic design teacher, how do you walk that line?
More symbolism and less representation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is really like when we would do the banners, and they would want to put football, and I'd be like, okay, but that's a couple hundred people in this town, but what about everybody else? Like, what how are you representing other people? Or when you get so pointed with your representation, you're definitely othering people. And so how can you get back to that core of the ideas and the meaning that you're trying to put through versus just the thing.
Yeah.
And so we have that conversation a lot because we've done like pieces at school where we talk about like environmental graphics and just different, like what would you put in the school if you were doing a mural or something, and thinking about just different ways to kind of connect with the community.
Yeah.
And so what's fun about a flag or a postcard or a banner, you have a very limited space. And so how do you take something that's very limited? It's a really fun design challenge,
Yeah.
and connect to an audience or an idea.
This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Bulldog Plumbing Incorporated, proudly serving Batavia and surrounding towns. Bulldog Plumbing isn't just a local family business, they're neighbors. You might have already seen their trucks all over town. They're a mainstay in Batavia, not just when it comes to serving their customers, but also through supporting the community itself. I'm not exactly a plumbing expert, so I had no idea what backflow testing was or why I needed it. So I looked into it, and it turns out it's kind of like putting up a do not enter sign so that nothing goes the wrong way and contaminates your water. Sounds pretty important to me. You can call Bulldog Plumbing if you need backflow testing or anything else like an energy-saving tankless water heater installed. If you have plumbing needs, visit bulldog-plumbing.com or call 630-313-9109. You are also involved in the BHS Pride Alliance.
Yes. So I am the sponsor.
The sponsor of the BHS Pride Alliance. So you sort of enable it to exist.
Yes.
That's basically the definition
Yes.
of sponsor, right?
Yeah, right.
That idea of belonging and a flag that helps everyone feel belong would apply really particularly to the Pride flag, right? So I'm curious, like, we can see that. It's actually really clear right now because the wind is blowing.
Yes.
Can you describe that flag and kind of what it means to you and maybe even your students?
Sure. I don't think there's probably much visually that gives me the joy, like heartfelt joy, than seeing the Pride flag places. Growing up in the 90s, the 80s and 90s, I went to high school in a very rural community in Indiana, very conservative community, and being an ally then and just an outsider to the first generation of people coming out in high school in that area were my best friends. And so seeing that hate and experiencing that hate, not maybe quite firsthand, but very closely, stuck with me forever. And so the moment I became a teacher, a lot of why I became a teacher was for issues revolving around social justice. I felt schools are a place of community for so many people in different ways. And one of those ways is, sometimes that's the only place you can find certain kind of community and support and belonging.
Yeah.
So in the last few years, seeing the Pride flag kind of present itself more and more in our community and in different communities nearby. Yeah. It's just such a moment of kind of peace and joy because it wasn't present in a very short recent history. Yeah. We did not see the Pride flag. And so since they started raising it here for city council, the city council started raising it, I've been down for the flag raising most years. Like anytime I can, I've been here. And I see my students, I see my former students, I see younger people, I see older people, and just seeing the people come together for that moment to be like, this is actually happening in our town. This is real. We're here. We're being told it's okay to be here. I mean, that's huge. Yeah. And I love that I see my former students every, like this year I was getting text messages. They're like, Miss T, are you coming? I'm like, I'm trying. My kid won't get out of the quarry, out of swim lessons. Like, I'm coming. Yeah. So it's just like, I think it means so much to them to live in a town where that flag is there. Yeah. In a town where we're a part of the homecoming parade as a club. Yeah. Which is always one of the most emotional days for me of the year. Just that presence and in the community between, well, there's, you feel so many things, but the biggest part for me, like during the homecoming parade is like, I'm always terrified. And then we're walking and then like these groups just erupt in applause when they see the Pride group. And then it's like, we call it the La Bamba lump in my family. the like, you're trying not to cry and you're, trying to keep, you're all choked up.
Yeah.
It's just powerful because it wasn't like that a few years ago.
How many years ago?
I mean, in the last 10 years, right, we've seen a lot more of that welcoming spirit. I don't know in Batavia. I've been here almost 10 years. So that's what I've seen.
Yeah. You've seen a progression in those 10 years.
More and more, yes. Yeah. And the kids notice it. The kids are, the kids will be like, man, that teacher has a pride flag up. Like you hear them talk about it. And so even when they don't know someone, they see it as a symbol of that they have someone of support if they need it.
It symbols support to them, primarily?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does strike me that it has a immediate need to be out there.
Yeah.
Like it serves a specific purpose, a concrete purpose.
A life-changing purpose. Because I think for youth that don't have that support at home, or they don't know if they have that support at home, or if they don't know if they can come out, or they know they can't come out, knowing that there's other adults that are there if they need it, I mean, that saves lives, if not just changing lives. To know that, like, when you're ready, there's people here that got you, and that there's people that are going to love you.
Yeah.
Like, you're not unwanted.
My name is Dan Chanzit. I am on the city council. This is my 14th year, which makes me, I guess, a senior member. I was originally appointed back in 2010, and I've run for re-election, I guess it's 4 times now, and no one has run against me.
Has it gotten better or worse over time?
That's a great question. It has gotten better and it's gotten worse.
Yeah,
actually.
I'll bet. Yeah.
It's gotten better because I suppose over time I found my voice. It's gotten worse because I spend way more time doing work for the council, in that it takes up a lot of my free time.
Yeah. It's more responsibility.
It's way more responsibility.
Yeah.
But then again, I remind myself, I'm in this because I love it, not because it doesn't pay anything. It actually, of all the elected offices, it's the only one that pays. We get $200 for our regular city council meetings on the first and third Mondays, and we don't get paid for our committee meetings. Those are on Tuesdays, second and fourth. That's where the sausage is made, and those are the ones that they really should be paying us for. But it works out to about $5,000 a year, a little bit less.
So you're like bathing in gold coins, is what I'm hearing.
For sure. I drive a used car, live in a townhouse. Clothing is exactly the same. I love it when people accuse us of getting kickbacks and whatnot. I'm like, I would have improved my car. Yeah. I would have improved my house, and I certainly would be wearing better clothing now.
Yeah. So we are standing in Peg Bond Center, and we can see the pride flag from here.
Yeah, you can see the council chambers. We can see the flag monument and the river walk, and there's people out on their bikes.
So can you describe what that means for the flag to be in that context? Can you describe the flag and then tell me what that means to you?
Well, all the flags there take center stage. This is the municipal campus. As you're coming through this part of downtown, you can do anything that has to do with city affairs. You can come here to pay your utility bill. You can come here to bail your friend out of jail. You can come here to get information for the new business that you want to start. And at the front door is 2 beautiful flagpoles. And today there happen to be 5 that are hanging from it. There's one for the United States, which is always the highest according to flag code. Below that is the state of Illinois. Then we have the city of Batavia. The prisoner of war flag is just next to that one. And then the Unity Pride flag hangs in 5th position right now for the month of June.
Yeah.
It's a rainbow. It's an improvement upon the flag that was created in the 70s. The Unity flag has more colors on it. It is more inclusive.
Yeah.
There's a pink, a light blue. There are colors that represent people of color who are even more marginalized in the community. So it's meant to include everybody, and each of the colors, I'd have to take out my gay manual, but each of the colors actually means something to someone on there. So it doesn't really matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter what your sexual expression or identity is. You're on there whether you like it or not. There's straight people on there, gay people are on there, bisexual people. Everyone is represented by that flag, which is why it is the unity flag.
So that's really interesting. You use that word unity, and you're calling it the unity flag. And I don't know if that's something I should be calling it. Is that?
To be most accurate, that is the best title for this flag. This is the Unity Pride flag.
Okay.
That's the official title for it.
So that's helpful. So what's interesting about that to me is we did an episode on the Flag Day Monument.
Yeah.
And the word unity comes up a lot, like a lot
Yeah.
in that conversation. The idea of the American flag being a thing that people can unify around, that helps with unity.
That's what flags do, though.
Yeah,
The flags for the
right.
state of Illinois.
Right.
It makes you proud when you're down in Springfield and you see the Illinois flag, or if you're at the Olympics and you see the flag that represents your country. It brings all of the athletes together, and we all remember we are here to support the United States.
Yeah.
Well, in the gay community or in the LGBTQ wider community, seeing a rainbow flag flying anywhere above a Red Lobster, above the general store or a gas station, is a beacon of hope. It says you are recognized. We see you. And to a gay kid who has not come out of the closet yet, it makes them feel like they belong.
Yeah.
It makes them remember that there is someone else out there like them. They're not the only one.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, I thought I was the only gay person in the world.
Yeah.
It's a much different world that we're living in now. And to see something like this at the doorstep of City Hall is mind-boggling to me. I would have never envisioned that, having gone to high school here.
Have you noticed any changes since the time, you're 14 years in your role, have you noticed changes in the way that people interact with or react to the Unity Pride flag?
Well, I would say City of Chicago has a pride parade. New York has one.
Yeah.
Aurora didn't have one until just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So the fact that Aurora, Illinois has a pride festival, or that Batavia High School has a pride festival, or that Buffalo Grove has one, it's starting to gain more acceptance now. I think the culture is more mainstream, whereas it used to be maybe the butt of a joke with sitcoms, or with the butt of a joke with characters in film.
Right.
I think all the people represented by that flag, people are starting to recognize, oh shoot, that is my cousin, that is my brother, that is my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are real people.
Yeah.
They're not caricatures. They're real people. And this flag is just celebrating that diversity that already exists here. That's really all it is.
What does it mean to you for that symbol to be, so like over those 14 years, there was less acceptance.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly it wasn't up on all the storefronts. And it certainly was, like, people didn't feel as good of feelings about it when it was. Now it's up at City Hall. What does that mean to you?
It means that the city sees me. It means the city recognizes me. I went to the high school and I saw some rainbow symbols, and we had just raised the pride flag here, and I made a remark. I wonder what it would have been like had there been a me on city council back when I was in high school. What kind of person would I be today?
Yeah.
And I got to experience that.
Yeah.
After each of the flag raisings, the crowds have gotten bigger each year. This year, I think there are almost 300 people. I had high school kids, junior high kids, come up to me afterwards and say, Alderman Chanzit, can I give you a hug? I was literally holding back tears at that time, because I was speechless. Yes, of course you can. You can. In fact, kids, why don't you guys go raise the flag? This is not my moment. This is your moment.
Why do you think they wanted to give you a hug?
Because I saw them. And they saw me, and they realized that they did not have to be marginalized, that their lives meant something, that they could go on and do things.
Yeah.
Whereas before, they felt like they had to hide in the shadows.
Yeah.
I never thought I could ever say out loud that I was married to a man. And now divorced from a man. I never thought that I could live my life out loud like that. This is a great community, and people have started to step out of the shadows and contribute. And it's great, because, to be honest with you, the more diversity that is visible, the better the community is.
Yeah.
It truly is. This is a place that belongs to everybody.
What kind of impact have you seen the Unity Pride flag being up at City Hall? What kind of impact has that had on people?
So, I like McDonald's. And it's possible that I go to that McDonald's a little more often than I should.
So just for the listeners, it's you, me, and the mayor all hanging out at the McDonald's. Somehow I don't see you guys, but I see the mayor a lot, but not you.
I go through the drive-thru, and I have parked down here. I have a business, and sometimes I just need to get away and like go park and just answer my emails.
Sure.
And I will park right here along the Riverwalk sometimes, and I'll people watch. I see more people congregating here and having private moments. I see couples up here embracing each other, kissing each other, holding hands, and they're having private moments because they're not doing it when there's 1,000 people out here during the daylight. They're getting their feet wet, saying, here, this is a safe place. Let's go take a look. You see it during the daytime too, but not as much. I'd say after the 6, 7, 8 o'clock hour, I've seen quite a few gay couples come up here and take photos.
Yeah. And that's been a gradual thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually really cool to see.
To you, what does it mean to belong in Batavia?
I have wrestled with that because I know that I always belonged here. I bought my first home here, less than a mile away from my own high school. I grew up here since '86, and this always felt like home.
Yeah.
And every time I would come back here, my mom lives here in the home that we moved into in the '80s. So I always felt like I belonged here. But when I decided to set up my own house here, I was living here, but let's put it this way. When I was invited to the mayor's house for Christmas, of course your spouse was invited. I chose not to let them know I had a spouse. And that on some level, well, on many levels, is terrible.
Yeah, it's a bad feeling.
Because my husband at the time had always joked about wanting to do a reality show with Andy Cohen, The Real Housewives of Batavia. And he thought that, he could be some political, walk the red carpet with me and go to public events. And I was like, it's not like that. I just don't want people to think I'm the gay alderman. I don't want people to think I've got some agenda to push here. It's not that I'm ashamed of you. It's just that I don't want to put you through the things that I have to go through. And as it turned out, he wasn't really that interested in local politics anyway, so it didn't really bother him that he didn't come to the mayor's Christmas dinner. Yeah. But the truth is I had a +1 and I should have had a date. Now I would bring a date.
Thanks for listening. I want to extend a very special thanks to my guests for this episode, for their willingness to talk to me, for their transparency and their openness. By the way, Area Code Batavia is currently looking for sponsors, especially at our partner tier. You can find more information at the link in our show notes. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. If you enjoy this podcast, why not subscribe to our newsletter? Just click the link in the show notes and put in your email address. Not only will we let you know whenever there's a new episode of Area Code Batavia available, but each issue also brings you 5 concrete ways to experience a deeper sense of belonging in the community of Batavia, Illinois. Most importantly, if you know someone who would love to hear this podcast, please share it with them. Word of mouth is the best way to grow this community and help more people feel like they belong in Batavia, Illinois. Area Code Batavia is produced by Area Code Audio. It's hosted and produced by me, Richard Clark, with additional production help from Jennifer Clark.